Hey folks, Alex here, 95 to Freedom. In today's video, we're going to talk about what I'm expected to make on my dividends and how I'm utilizing the margin that I'm receiving from Robinhood in order to build a portfolio that can one day replace our 9 to 5. If you're interested in this kind of content, make sure you stick around, check out my other videos. So, without further ado, folks, I am still camping. Wanted to make a video. Yesterday was a phenomenal day with the huge bull that we had. Now, I did transition from um, Fidelity into Robinhood in the past couple of weeks, and I haven't been really able to track what I'm expected to make with the dividends that I have today. So I wanted to consolidate that into a sheet where we can take a look at all of that. So let's hop into that. So this is the Robinhood account that I have right now. As you can see, yesterday I was up almost $10,000 in the account, and overnight we're up over $1,000. If we look at the 1 week chart, you can see that we fully recovered everything, all the huge dip that we had for the past week. We'll take a 1 month look. You can see this flat line. This is before I got into Robinhood, and you can see that we've almost recovered everything from the sell-off that we had. So that's really neat to see. Now, one thing to note here, I do have right here in Robinhood, it's showing that my own money, it represented at $255,894. Now, we do utilize margin. Margins basically, think of it as like a HELOC you would get on the house. It is money that's available that you only pay interest on. If you want to pay it off fully, you can just sell your shares. And what's cool about margin is that it could be withdrawn and you could use it to live your life on. So I have videos that go more depth into that, and I will cover that towards the end of this video. Now I want to show you here my account, and these are the positions that I have here. These are some of the funds that I've been purchasing throughout the year, and my largest position currently is in XCT, QDT, MAGI, and YBTC. I call these the Dividend Avengers. These four positions represent a large portion of my account. You can see that obviously we had a nice recovery yesterday, like I mentioned. And as we move down the list, these are some of the positions that I'm building up as well that I want to keep long term. Positions that pay less in dividends but do show more growth over time, which I think is a nice balance. So, that being said, it's one thing that I do miss in Fidelity, which I haven't figured out how to do in Robinhood, is to be able to see an estimated income off the dividends that you're getting. I'm not seeing that screen, so I ended up pulling all of the quantities, the type of funds that I have, average price, and putting all into my sheet. Now, this is the tracker that I have. Every time I receive a dividend, I enter it in here and I track it every single week. I publish a video on Friday or Saturday what I received in dividends. So this is a pretty cool way of tracking. It's free to use. I use Google Sheets. I have a video in my channel where I go line by line how you can create your own customized sheet and how to use Google Sheets. So as you can see, this week we received almost 20 a little bit over $2,500 for the week, which is pretty good. Not as good as the weeks we are getting before that, but a lot of that came from a large position in Alti. Now, I have since sold out of Alti. I held 100 shares just to keep track of it, but really trying to rebuild my base on something that has a better diversity and no NAV erosion. Really, that's the goal here. We want to keep our account balance as we're receiving those dividends. Okay, so let's talk about the annual income, folks. This is the sheet that I built here, and let me just get my face out of the way so you guys can see the full sheet. Okay, so here we go. I'll zoom in a little bit in case you guys are on mobile. Okay, so this is the tracker here that, like I said, I had to kind of build this by hand because I'm not seeing how to visualize this in Robinhood. So these are my positions here. When they pay, you can see here my dividend avengers here, the top four. These are all weekly payers. I like to have the weekly paycheck. It's really nice. I think it's a great way to compound this or to really receive like a paycheck you do from your employer. Now, moving down the list, you can see some of these are monthly, and the other week, a couple of weeklies we have in here is HOW. This is from Roundhill on Robinhood. And like I said, I still have my position OT with just 100 shares. Now, if we look across, and let me just zoom out just a hair, um, you can see here the amount of the cost per share. You can see the dividend per share. So this is the most latest dividend that was received. Now, you have to understand that this number will fluctuate. It will fluctuate sometimes quite a bit, especially on those that have a single underlining, something like HOOW, something like SMCY, something like even on Bitcoin. The two positions I have on Bitcoin is YBTC and BTCI. So these do fluctuate a lot more than something that is more diversified like XDT, QDT. So this is on S&P 500, on the Nasdaq, the Magnificent Seven. Same goes for the NEOS funds, SPY, obviously on the S&P 500, and QQQI on the Nasdaq. Now, next column here, I have number of shares and the weight. So this is what is represented of my portfolio. You can see here XDT making up the largest position here at almost 23%, QDT at 21, Maggie at 17, YBTC at 11. So my total Bitcoin exposure is actually kind of high. Between YBTC and BTCI, we're looking about a little bit over, I guess, 13%. So that's cool. And this represents obviously what number of shares times the price of the share. And you can see here the total at 406. Now, one thing to note here, if we go back to my Robinhood, I am using margin. So if we go back to my investment, you can see my money represents 250, almost $6,000. The rest of it, I'm actually borrowing from Robinhood. Now, what's cool about Robinhood is that once you get over $100,000 on margin, the rate is only 5.25%. So I'm holding all these positions on a very low interest rate. Now, I have some other positions in here that are not dividend paying that I'm just playing. I bought the dip, and it's really nice to see some of them move up in plus direction, just be able to cash in on some of these stable ones like Nvidia, Palantir, AMD, and Tesla. So I like seeing that appreciation that I was able to get with the run we had yesterday. Now, going back to my tracker here, this is the dividend. This is what we're getting in dividend here. So column H represents the number of shares, right? So I have 2,100 shares. I'm getting 25 cents per share, and this is what I'm getting on a weekly basis. So some of these would be monthly, some of these would be weekly. Now, I extract that into this column I, and this basically represents the annualized profits that I'm getting off of these positions. Now, one thing to note here, right, is how far your money goes. So look at XDT here. I have almost $93,000 in it, but my annualized gains are actually smaller than on QDT because Nasdaq is a little bit less diverse, more tech heavy, and they are paying a higher dividend. But that is the breakdown here, and if you tally all this up, you can see that I'm sitting at $142,368. Now, all this will obviously fluctuate, and with the way that this portfolio is, I'm pretty confident we can actually achieve this income, which then begs the question, what does this cost me in interest, right? Because I am using margin, and some of the money that I did pull, I pulled out of my real estate. So I do have a loan that I'm paying on that as well. I can talk about that some more if you guys are interested. But in today's video, I wanted to really dive in what this would cost me. Now, if I go to Robinhood and I click on buy and power here, well, actually, if I click the wrong thing here, if I click on okay, so if we click on investing and we scroll down here and then explore your margin, this is where we find it. You can see here my margin right now is $163,347. I hope you could see that. Let me just zoom out a little bit just to get my face out of the way. So this is my margin amount that I have. Now, as you can see on this side of the screen, it says that my daily interest is $23.60 with annualized rate of 5.25%. 5.25. So really quick way to do that math. You take this 2360, and if we just go, we'll just say 2360 times 365 days. This is costing me $8,614 on margin. Okay, now if we go back to here, we can subtract that. We'll just say 2360 times 365, and we'll just do a subtraction here minus this, and I think my face is in the way, so I'll just scroll up. Okay, so this is what we're paying in margin interest, and this is what our net income would be from this account. Now that is pretty cool, folks. 133,000 to make really on the 256,000 that I do have actually invested in here. And that is the power of margin. Now if we just do a quick ROI, if you just take this and you divide by that by 265, let's see here, and we turn that into a percentage. That is, well, I'm sorry, I have 255. I don't know why I said I had 265. So if we divide that by 255, so that's what we're actually making on our money, and that is amazing, 52%. And really that comes from one, it's these funds that are able to give us these high dividends, which of course, you know, with the way that we've repositioned this account, you know, before we had a huge position in Alti, Misty, we had all the Yieldmax stuff that promised us the moon. If I would have still had all these funds, you would have seen like probably, you know, $250,000 to $350,000 in annual income. But if that money's actually eroding, I can't really truly call it an income if the value of my account is going to drop over 12 months. Now with this, really what we're utilizing is the available margin to be able to capitalize that at the low rate and be able to get this huge ROI. Now that's going to be really the test for the next 12 months. Can we actually achieve this income, and can our NAV stay the same over the course of 12 months? Now all of that's going to be market dependent, and that will be our experiment. Now let's just talk about, for those folks who are new here, why am I doing all of this, right? How does all of this work? Well, really how it works is what we're doing is we're capitalizing, arbitraging the low interest rates that we're given, right? So that is something that even if you get into real estate these days, it's very tough to find any type of low interest loans. You're looking at least like 7-8% to do that. But if we're utilizing margin, which is, especially through Robinhood, is a very low interest rate, what we can do is we can borrow that money and then we can invest it, and it could actually make us more money. And what we're doing in here is we're building up this account, and then if I need the money, really I can come in here and I can use this money. If I click on spending here, now right now I don't have I haven't really taken a penny out of Robinhood. I've been doing this in Fidelity, but if I click on here, you could see that I can actually withdraw from this account $132,000. I can move this to my bank account, and this will be borrowed at that 5.25%. So really what we can do is we can live on margin. We can use the dividends that will pay down our margin, and if we need the money to pay the bills, this is what we're using, because why waste that dollar that you're making? So my income, I'm about to set everything up into Robinhood. Right now I have still everything in Fidelity, but what we're going to do is we're going to bring our income into Robinhood. We're going to buy shares of that, and as the dividends are coming in every week, they're going to pay down the margin, and as we need the money, we're able to use the margin to pay for our bills, to pay for loans, to pay for our food, anything that we need money for, because it makes sense to borrow at 5.25% and instead make the 15, 20, 30% that we can with some of these investments. So that's really arbitraging this money. Now, if we go back to this buying power, I don't know why I keep pressing the wrong button here. You can see here that I'm using right now $163,000 on margin, and I need to have a margin maintenance of $105,000. So what's really cool about Robinhood is a lot of these, most of these funds that I'm holding are only at 25% maintenance, which really helps you having a larger buffer. You can see my buffer right now is 150, almost $150,000. So technically, I could go out and I could spend this money. I could buy more shares with this, but I want to be above my maintenance requirement. One of the things that could happen if we have a large dip in the market, this requirement might go up because the value of your portfolio will be reducing. So I want to make sure I have a buffer that can cover me. The other thing that could happen is the margin maintenance requirement could change as well. So it could go from 25 to 30 to 50, or even sometimes to 100%, which means non-marginable. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Now, I think I'm still going to use some of this, but I feel like I want to keep double the amount. Whatever my requirement is, I want to have the same amount of money in my buffer. And I think that's going to be my strategy. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Is that how you approach utilizing your buffer? And also, um, the other thing I wanted to know is, what do you guys think about how this money should be spent? I'm thinking to really invest another $25,000 or so, and to be able to build this up to at least like $150,000 to $160,000 a year account that could grow me some money. So that is the empty slot I have here. I want to buy something else, or maybe possibly just increase the amount of shares that I have here. So that's going to be my video today. I did not intend to make it long. I just wanted to cover a lot of these topics which we haven't had a chance to talk about, just between moving from Fidelity into Robinhood. But this is still pretty cool, I think, way of tracking it, just having it on a spreadsheet. So let me know what you guys think about that. And obviously subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you like this channel. Thanks, folks. Have a great weekend.